If I could only figure out how to get my team motivated.
We are never going to get this project done on time.
Oh my God, my payroll numbers are insane. Why are we having all this overtime?
Do you have these or similar employee problems? Do you feel like some of your employees are just there for a paycheck? Tired of recruiting, interviewing, onboarding, and training just to find out you must do it all over again? Then it's time for you to find out how to have outrageously awesome employees. Sit back, buckle up, and get ready because we're about to drop a knowledge bomb on you. Please welcome to the mic the host of the show, the man who puts the human in human resources, the 007 of team building, the emperor of employee engagement, Randy Starr.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of How to Have Outrageously Awesome Employees. Today we have a very special guest, Patricia Bell. Patricia is from the Port Royal Ocean Resort and Conference Center, where she is the Director of Human Resources. I've already talked a little bit with Patricia, and I can guarantee you one thing, we are about to have some fun. So Patricia, how are you this morning?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me, Randy.
Oh, you're very welcome. I will tell you something that we discussed before we came on the air, is I thought Port Royal was in Hilton Head and that I was going to get free golf. and I found out that Port Royal is not in Hilton Head and I'm not going to get free golf. So tell us about where you're at now. Tell us a little bit about your background so everybody will understand what you've done, where you've been, that type of stuff, so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Well, actually, counting the years is always humbling. I started in HR in 85, so 30 years young in my HR career, but I could truly say, as I'm sure many of us could, HR, our role has changed so much. Every year, it's like a brand new HR career. So I truly believe I'm in another new great period of my life. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and so I started my HR career really, I call Kelly Services was my boot camp into HR. There's nothing like temporary services to give you a crash course on HR policies, hiring, firing, and customer service. So I did that for a while and was recruited away, moved to Minnesota, worked for a financial services and insurance company, Fortis, and then moved back to Nebraska, worked for major companies like ConAgra, Consumer Products, First Data Corporation. That was my crash course into the call center world, and then also have worked for nonprofit IT organizations. Then I commuted for a year with a company in Texas. I worked for a PeopleSoft IT consulting firm now, right. So that dates me just to say PeopleSoft. I'm a PeopleSoft girl. And then moved to Austin, Texas in 2000. And so I have traditionally followed HR executives who have moved on and needed someone to come in and be a great foot soldier to restore confidence in the HR function. And so I have followed a lot of people. My dad was in the military. We moved every 3 years, so I love new adventures. So it's quite fine for me. So I worked for this IT consulting firm in Austin for a couple years, and then when the IT bomb happened, I ended up going to Nextel. And so again, a lot of companies who are here and then gone. We were acquired by Sprint, but I had a great time there just working with the transition of being acquired by a larger organization, and then moved to a jewelry company and worked for Sears call center, 1,000 employees at the call center. That was exciting. And then moved to Houston to work for a manufacturing company. And did that for a couple years until manufacturing took a little dive. So I've definitely ridden quite the wave from a career standpoint. But, if you're in tune in HR, things don't catch you by surprise. And I was always well informed and always worked till the last moment to make sure employees were taken care of. And then worked for a cable company, cable services and internet services, home security out of Tyler, Texas, East Texas. Love it out there. And had a territory from Oklahoma down to Victoria, Texas. And then I decided to be an HR consultant for 2 years and enjoyed being an employee of one and decided I needed to share the burden. So then most recently I worked for Manpower Services as a project manager, managing recruiters, and everybody was working from their home. So that was exciting. And then most recently joined Port Royal in July as the HR director, and I've decided to at least stay put for a little while in Corpus Christi.
Well, what a beautiful place to stay put.
Absolutely.
Unbelievable, beautiful place, that's for sure. And your welcoming committee to your new job was unfortunately a natural disaster too.
Yes.
That wasn't much fun, I'm sure.
It was pretty crazy, but you know what? It really has been a blessing. It's allowed us to kind of recenter and focus on what's important, both as individuals and as an organization.
That is, what a tremendous attitude. That is awesome. Tell us what it is. I think I already know the answer. What is it about human resources that is so interesting to you that you've followed this amazing trail that you just laid out for us for all these different companies? And I couldn't count the industries, but what is it about HR that just obviously gets you excited to get up in the morning and do what you do?
Absolutely. Well, I got to tell you, I remember the first time a recruiter told me to take off my resume that I was a head cheerleader. But I truly believe that that's still an important skill set in human resources.
Yeah.
And so I actually, believe it or not, wanted to be a missionary right out of high school. And went through some schooling, and then it just wasn't the right time. And I ended up in clerical jobs, and that's where I started working for Kelly Services. They placed me in a job where I was the receptionist or the secretary for HR, and I typed up all the disciplinary actions, and I thought this was better than soap operas. And so I had an opportunity after being laid off, and actually I left off, I worked for Enron also for a short period of time. So I have seen quite a bit in my career. But Kelly Services hired me as a supervisor, and that's when I had my boot camp and being a first line supervisor, because I was good with people and I truly am motivated every day. I am thankful for every day. And, you know, real life happens outside of work. That's the heavy stuff. But work should be task, mission, get it done with the team, and feel good about your accomplishments every day. And so people use the words all the time. They have a passion for people. I generally come to work and I love Mondays. I love seeing my new friends, and I love the challenge. And I am a corporate cheerleader. I've changed my title to culture diva. So that's what my informal title is now, because HR to me is not what happens in our office and with a piece of paper or a typed up memo. HR is being out there in the trenches with our employees and making sure that they're giving their best every single day. And I believe that I have an infectious way to just create that contagious spirit and make sure we're living our values. And I truly believe in it. It's the only way to work. I don't understand why more people don't adopt or try to learn how to behave like that, to treat their workplace like that, because I meet so many people, and I've been in hospitality or worked in hospitality my entire life. I've dealt with human resources, not only in hospitality, dealt with them, wasn't in human resources, but then all I deal with now are human resource professionals. It's amazing why people continue to go to work and don't like it, complain about it. Absolutely. And you can tell within 1 minute, you already know if someone loves their job or you are an interruption to their day.
Right.
And so I just choose to love my job.
And why would we put somebody who is described like you just put it in a position to deal with our customers or our clients?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one of the things we drive right now, one of the concepts is we have internal customers.
Right.
Our employees and every department is an internal customer.
Right.
And if we're not delivering 100% like we expect to deliver to our external customers, then what are we doing? So
Right.
I think that's really critical.
Okay, this one's going to be tough. I want you to tell us a story about your greatest accomplishment. And since you've had so many, I'm gonna guess it's going to be hard to nail one down. But let's hear what you got. What's your greatest accomplishment in HR so far?
All right. Well, I have two. The first one that I can recall is when I worked for the manufacturing company in Houston, and we had probably about 280 employees, I will say, and we were in multiple locations, Corpus, Huntsville, and a couple of different locations in Houston.
Okay.
Well, when the manufacturing industry took a dive in about 2009, late 2009, we had to lay off about 175 employees, and no one wanted to receive my phone call. But I was able to talk to the leadership team, and we laid off everyone with notice. We treated them with dignity and respect. We didn't have one person do anything damaging. We informed the employees. We let them know what was going on step by step. And people stayed till the last day. Yeah. And it wasn't about the retention bonus. It was about the fact that we kept them informed and they felt like they were part of the process, and that pride. It was Doyle's, as a matter of fact. And I'm very proud of that, because it's hard to have those conversations and just be involved in a company that was on the decline. And yet we held our head high every single day. So I'm very proud of that. And then I guess the second one would be my most recent accomplishment, which is still in process, and that is working with Port Royal. Just going through the hurricane, we have awesome insurance, business interruption insurance, so we're able to pay our employees 100% of the time. And so we had to find a way to keep them engaged. So you talk about really putting our money and our time where our mouth is. You know, employees are getting a check, but we didn't have a place for them to go. So we rented a church, and we committed to do training for our employees and community service. And we used the book from Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, and we broke it up into 4 parts: personal excellence, team excellence, career excellence, and Port Royal excellence. And I have to say that I have to share that accomplishment, because I've learned a lot about myself, inner fortitude, and our number one concept is we take 100% responsibilities for the outcome of our decisions. I'm 100% responsible. And so we didn't blame things on Harvey. We figured, what can we control and what can we make happen? And it's been an explosive opportunity for each one of us. It's still in process.
That's amazing. That is. So you are teaching, training hourly employees leadership skills.
Exactly. And we spent all day, once a week. We had over 100 employees, so we had to split them in 2. So on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we divided our organization in half, and then the other days they're doing community service. And our employees did vision boards. We brought in speakers to come and talk about David Ramsey's financial piece, right? Because we believe that if now is the time to really concentrate on the person. And before, you didn't blur those lines worrying about people's personal lives. Just come to work and focus on our needs. Right. But Harvey taught us that we had to care about the employee first, and then they can focus on their job. And so we took time to talk about our weight and our habits, and how disasters can sometimes cause people to drink more or use recreational drugs. I mean, we just talked about things very honestly and openly. We brought people in from the community, and our employees are stronger because of it.
Yeah, that's just amazing. That's just, you got to kind of want, I would love, they didn't do this before Harvey, right?
No, we didn't have time because,
Right.
training is
Right.
something that you schedule and you reschedule.
Yeah.
Reschedule.
And then you go, oh yeah, we were going to do that.
Right.
This has got to be amazing for the business too. I mean, it's just I can't imagine how it would not be just crazy beneficial for the business, let alone, and probably because that wasn't your goal.
No, it was to
Yeah.
be HR. I stepped into the shoes of a wonderful predecessor, Nora Hadley, and my job was to come in and just keep things moving. And Hurricane Harvey pretty much just threw everything upside down, but it's given me an opportunity to kind of create my own footprint, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's just amazing. I really, really, I'm going to keep my eye on you guys, just because I want to. I mean, that's very few organizations train, teach, enlighten hourly associates in leadership skills. The Dave Ramsey piece is phenomenal.
Yes.
Because nobody teaches them that.
No.
Nobody teaches anybody leadership skills. I mean, even if you've got your MBA,
yes,
you didn't get that unless you chose to go find it yourself.
Yes,
So there's
absolutely.
very few organizations that do what you've done.
Absolutely.
All right. So my next question was, tell us what you've done to help employees grow. I already know the answer to that because you just told me.
Yes.
Do you have something else that you wanted to put in there other than that?
Well, I do.
Okay.
Andy, as we were training our employees, and that began in October, about mid-January, what our GM, Kendra Kinnison, realized is if we didn't do very concentrated training just for our leaders, then we would not position them for success. So we paused training all employees and created what I called Managers Boot Camp. And we put them really on steroids of what leadership looks like, what accountability looks like, what are your standards, how do we need each other? Because one of the things that we realized when we were going through the training as all employees is that we still operate in silos, and we didn't understand how when we didn't meet our standard, it impacted in a domino effect other departments. And so we brought together, and it seems like something that everybody should get, but there were light bulbs that went on when they went, oh, you don't see the whole ticket, you
Right.
just see the beginning. It was little things that were tripping us up.
Oh my
So
goodness.
Managers Boot Camp began in January, and that was getting down to the brass tacks, not just love, truth, and beauty, but okay, what are your standards? And the other departments got to say, well, this standard isn't the right standard because it messes us up, so can you adjust your standard some? I mean, we had real live conversations. We definitely addressed the elephants in the room. And so it was great because we talked philosophy and then we talked real life, and putting those two together has really allowed us to come back to the property stronger. But the hardest part about training is everybody thinks when you're done, you've got it. And so what I've stressed to everyone is, okay, now you're walking out that training. And this is the hard stuff. And so you can't forget, what are those principles we agreed to? We also agreed to village leadership. You can't just lead the people in your department. If you see someone in another department not living according to their mission, you say something and you support them, and then you let the leader know. So
Right.
no more is it, well, my manager's not here, it doesn't matter. No, we all care about the same thing.
Right.
Powerful. And we're living it out every day. Not perfect, but it's the goal.
That is awesome. Oh, yes. I have to keep my eyes on Port Royal now. Tell us, this should be easy. Tell us about a time when you've helped an employee overcome a challenge.
Okay, let's see. What did I talk about? Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to Managers Boot Camp because
Okay.
I believe in all of my career. I've been in leadership development. That's been my focus for about the past 6 to 7 years.
Okay.
I think managerial courage is the thing that people need to work on the most. So what I found during the boot camp is employees, our leaders knew the right thing to do, but they were afraid to do it. They were afraid of consequences. They were afraid of being unpopular. They were afraid of hurting people's feelings. And so I believe one of the things that I did to help our leadership team is to talk about managerial courage and hit it, head on and say, yes, sometimes you're going to be unpopular. It's okay.
Right.
If you're motivated by the right reasons for the right purpose, and you're doing it the right way, then let's have those challenging conversations. And so, and that's something, again, that doesn't happen overnight. It's certainly like an onion. There are many layers to it. But when we help leaders have managerial courage to do the things they already know they need to do, and we give them tools to be self-aware. We went through DISC, which is very basic, but just understanding that we communicate differently. Everyone doesn't have to be an extrovert to be a great leader, although extroverts are pretty cool.
Yeah. I like
but
it.
helping us appreciate style differences, and that doesn't take away our ability to be effective. It's about results, not intent.
Right.
It's results and having managerial courage. So I think that's truly my life mission.
Managerial courage.
Yes, sir.
That is, I think if you look at the core group of people that you have at Port Royal right now, the ones that have gone through all this training, I think you should keep tabs with all of them, because we know some of them are going to leave, right? I mean, eventually.
Eventually, but we're very fortunate. We have pretty good retention, but absolutely we can track them.
Right. But I think that you have created some tremendous foundation for a lot of these people. They can move on and just excel wherever they go. I mean,
absolutely.
That's just, okay, I'm blown away.
Well, we've padded the resumes. I shouldn't even say padded. The credibility of their resumes has gone up tremendously because people understand what Port Royal has gone through, and that we haven't just sat back as victims. We've become lion in our own storms.
Right.
So
see, that's the thing. I have clients who are in the same area, who experience the same thing that you've experienced, and this is different. What type of training do you feel is important for your employees?
I think we miss the boat sometimes with employees because we don't meet employees where they're at. We meet employees where we're at. And so I'm also a certified trainer for ELI Incorporated. They do harassment prevention training, but it's really respect in the workplace. It's a fantastic organization. I do that on the side. And what it teaches, their training method is facilitated learning. So it's much different than having a PowerPoint and speaking to that and being a talking head.
Right.
I have learned the great technique from ELI that it's not so important what I know, but what's important is what do the employees know about themselves, and do they know how to problem solve and take the next steps. So that's what I've incorporated into my training. Self-awareness is critical. So we did this even for our employees because they've got to understand how they come across. We also did the Lost at Sea. I don't know if you've ever done that exercise. Love it. And help them understand, back to managerial courage, even courage for employees. Do you have the courage to tell your coworker, that's not cool, that's not what we're supposed to be doing? Do you have the courage to just speak up?
Right.
And so the training that I do now is really about concepts. What do we believe is the best practice, and what are the challenges that are out there? And I love to talk about the things that nobody likes to talk about, because you can go get a trained expert in all kinds of technical topics, but I like to have real life conversations and end that with an action plan. What are we going to commit to? What's our best practice, and how do we measure it? How do we evaluate that? What are the results of that best practice? So that it's very basic. And employees know how to say, hey, where's your 100%?
Right.
That's an outcome of one of those training.
That is phenomenal. Okay. Tell us about your typical day. What you do on your typical day.
What do I do? Well, this morning I'm at home, so that's a real treat. But, I am mobile HR. So I love busting this typical stereotype that HR is in the ivory tower with, the C-suite.
Right.
I get up in the morning and, our GM is really, it's really important to her that we meet prior to meeting with our employees and we understand the direction for the day, the direction for the week. So I also have a great GM who hired me not to just manage HR, well, not to do HR, but to manage it. So I have a team, they handle the day-to-day, payroll, benefits, employee inquiries. They handle that. My job is really leadership and employee development. And I am in the trenches. And, I started HR when it was personnel, and then it became human resources. I've even been the people department, people services director. But I'm truly a business partner, and I believe in order for employees, including the leadership team, to trust and invite HR in, we have to understand their world, not make them understand our world. They don't care about our policies until they have a problem. Why not embed ourselves in their business? I go to their staff meetings. I understand what keeps them up at night. I understand the frontline leadership's challenges. And then I say, here's how to leverage what we can help you do from HR perspective, which is just people. We're the people. And we don't have all the answers, but we can. Our GM, Kendra, says the key to a great leader is the ability to ask a series of great questions. And so we're learning to ask questions, not assume and answer questions for people. So my typical day is just being out on property and being in the meetings. Last week we were getting ready for a group. I was up there with housekeeping, helping them clean. Now they could run circles around me, but again, I'm the culture diva. Right. What can I do to make sure our culture is spot on? And, if it's bringing up water, if it's bringing up peanut butter and jelly sandwiches so we can work till 8:00 at night, that's what we're going to do. And, the benefits from that are just immeasurable. And then if there's the time when I have to have with the manager and talk to an employee about, something that is not a fun conversation, they know that we've treated them with dignity and respect, and we've been there. They can't say, well, you don't know what it's like. Well, actually, I was right next to you. Yes, sir, I do. Yeah. Yes, ma'am, I do. So.
Yes, don't you remember me?
Yes, I cleaned one room, remember?
I know. Okay, so you, and you mentioned this earlier as well, but I didn't touch on it. The changes in human resources from employee relations or to personnel employee relations. And now the term is business partner, but it's not just a term. It's actually a tremendous change in responsibility and thought process, attitude, behavior, whatever within the human resources world. Why did it take so long to get there? That's a question that, I know I'm not supposed to ask you that, but
sure.
Why do you, because you've been doing this for a while and you have a tremendous diverse background from companies as well as industries. Why do you think it took so long to get from your main function of being paperwork, basically, employee records, to where it is now, where you touched on something when you said you want to know what keeps them up at night. That's what a director of marketing or the vice president of sales and marketing wants to know about the external clients or customers so that they can tweak their business to help meet those needs. So why did it take so long to get from that to that, in your opinion? What do you think?
Yes. Well, I think HR, what I found, because I've always been a non-traditional HR professional. I was always scolded for not being in my office doing paperwork. I was always on the floor. I was always at all these meetings. Like, is it really necessary? But I felt that it was necessary. Otherwise, we were glorified secretaries. And I think HR became a place where people felt very incubated. They were so privileged to be attached to the C-suite, and they enjoyed being the principal's office.
Right.
And, I remember one time someone saying about the HR department, we were the unhuman resources department. And I didn't want to be a part of that. And it was because we dared employees to cross that line and come and complain to us. I think when HR started partnering more with, and that's even frontline managers, because many times frontline supervisors felt just like non-exempt employees, hourly employees. I think when we began to become more of an advocate for employees and really balance and challenge senior leadership, that started to change the tilt, because, HR was typically just doing what senior leaders told them to do.
Right.
And when HR began to say, actually, we need to leverage some different practices, here's why. And when we began to tie HR initiatives to ROI, then the C-suite started to listen. When we talked about the cost of losing people, and they would say, it doesn't matter, we'll just hire more. No, it does matter, because our brand is suffering. And, there are just so many ways. But we had to, from an HR perspective, quantify our results, and then we had to be confidential, and truly care about the employees, and not just look for ways to say gotcha.
Right.
But really become a builder at the top of the hill instead of the ambulance person at the bottom of the hill. I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to affect change so that we could all enjoy our job, because there are enough external pressures that we couldn't control, but we can control how our employees feel and attack their day, and if they truly understand that they're valued when they come to work.
I agree, 100%. Great answer. I'm going to ask you one more.
All right.
This one is not for me. This one is for someone who may be listening, who is thinking about jumping into HR. Maybe they're new in HR and they're really not sure if this is what they want to do, but they've got the job.
Okay.
What would you tell them? A few words of wisdom or advice that would help make them successful.
Okay, great. I would say the first thing is check your heart. Why do you want to be in human resources? Is it a status thing? Because there is some status with it and it's cool, but status doesn't, motivate you every day to get up and answer that next email or take that phone call. So check your heart. Is your heart in line with what really can allow you to be effective from an HR perspective? And then when you start your job, if you're just starting, go and spend a week doing the hardest job that your company has. So be in the trenches with your employees, and not marketing or IT, because those are a little bit harder, but where are your hourly employees? Where are the majority of your employees working? Go live in their shoes and don't audit them. Don't report all the bad words they say on the floor. Just go and immerse yourself in their business. Understand your employees' world first, and then learn to become a good listener and ask great questions. And have the courage to ask the hard questions. Don't be stuck in technology. Don't be so immersed in our HR projects that we don't have time for people. And I think that's what happens. I think another thing that allows us to be a better business partner is automate everything you can. We're just going through the process of automating our employee files, because you can spend a whole head count filing, especially with all of the compliance we have. Invest in technology so we have time for people. I think that's the problem. Personnel or employee relations, we only have time to manage our paperwork. We should be there helping our supervisors and our leaders get the best out of their employee relationships, and be willing to invest in ourselves. I had the opportunity to go to Disney in January to go through their leadership development class. Oh, and employee development. I mean, it blew my mind. Awesome stuff. We've got to keep reinventing ourselves. You know, what worked for me in the 90s and even, you know, the mid 2000s, it doesn't work now. We've got to keep reinventing ourselves too.
Right. I agree. Great answer. Awesome advice. Patricia, this has really been fun. I have enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Unbelievable nuggets of wisdom. I call them golden nuggets. It's just like bam, bam, bam. As I look, I wasn't, if you see me with my head down, it wasn't because I wasn't paying attention. It was because I'm taking notes and my page is almost out of space. So
that's great.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. We definitely appreciate your wisdom. As I said, I will keep my eye on Port Royal Ocean Resort and Conference Center because after this, I can't see anything but greatness coming out of that organization with that type of foundation laid. And it's obvious that all of the training that we discussed, the leadership training, the Dave Ramsey, all of that, that's not necessary. You don't have to do that. All you got to do is train them how to do their job. When you go above and beyond like that, it's just, there's no way that it won't be multiplied back to you.
Absolutely. And in our community as well. And we're so proud of that.
Well, when you train your employees, that many of them in that community, and you're training them on how to be leaders. I mean, good leaders aren't just leaders at work. They're good leaders everywhere. At home, when they go in the grocery store, when they stop and pump gas, wherever. A leader is a leader. You can't take that away from them. And I truly believe that it's something that you can train someone to do.
You can.
If you don't know, if you weren't taught and brought up in a certain way and you didn't learn certain things, then no, you won't be a leader.
Right.
You can be trained how to do that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'm going to conclude this episode. It's been phenomenal. I can't wait to get this up online so everyone else can enjoy it too. Again, Patricia Bell, if you guys aren't connected with her on LinkedIn, check her out. The Director of Human Resources, Port Royal Ocean Resort and Conference Center in Corpus Christi, Texas.
Yes.
Thanks again. And those of you who are watching for the first time, be sure to subscribe and like this episode, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Please feel free to contact Randy with any questions about team building or employee engagement issues. Subscribe to this channel so you'll be notified when new episodes are published.